Hello, I'm Orla Nieli. I'm the coordinator here with Clare Immigrant Support Centre based at Unit 6, Clonroad Business Park, Clonroad, Ennis. Clare Immigrant Support Centre works with all immigrants, including refugees and asylum seekers, international protection applicants. We are a part-time office and all the details about our opening times are on the end of this video and also on our website, which is clareimmigrantsupportcentre.com. This video is about the international protection system and how it works. And it will take you step by step through the stages of the asylum process. We are here to help you with the process at any stage we can. It is very important that you keep up to date and respond to letters, etc. from the department if you are an applicant as they come into you. We wish you well with the process and we are here to help in any way we can. Good luck.
Hello everyone, and you are very welcome to today's video, which will be providing you with an overview of the international protection process in Ireland. This is not legal advice, but it is a summary of the international protection system as of January 2021. Further information can be found at the International Protection Office website at www.ipo.gov.ie. Applicants should also read the information booklet, which is available on the International Protection Office website, and there are translated versions available of the booklet also. I will be talking you through the following topics to include the application for international protection, with that the preliminary interview, the international protection questionnaire, the substantive interview, the decision of International Protection Office, International Protection Appeals Tribunal, judicial review, an overview of the Clare Immigration Support Centre contact details, and also Legal Aid Board contact details. So on the screen at the moment you can see a visual of the general overview of the process when going through the international protection system or seeking asylum in Ireland. The application for international protection can be made at either the port of entry, for example Dublin Airport or Shannon Airport, or the International Protection Office in Dublin. Here there is a preliminary interview to see if the applicant is allowed to apply for international protection. The International Protection Office will take the applicant's fingerprints and photograph to establish identity and whether the EU Dublin regulation applies. If the EU Dublin regulation applies, the applicant can be transferred to another EU state to have their case heard. When an individual applies for international protection, there is a small interview. If an interpreter is required, there will be one provided. And some example questions include whether the individual wishes to make an application for international protection, the reasons why the application is sought, so identification, the country of origin, details of getting to Ireland, and then the reasons for coming to Ireland as well. An applicant cannot apply for international protection if another state has granted them refugee status or subsidiary protection. If an applicant is allowed to apply for international protection, they will receive a temporary residence permit and permission to remain in the state during the application process. The applicant may be placed in accommodation in a direct provision centre anywhere in Ireland. Direct provision provides food and accommodation plus €38.80 per adult and €29.80 per child. Once you've received your temporary card and got your notes from the small interview, you can apply for a personal public service number, otherwise known as your PPSN, through the Community Welfare Officer. The applicant can and should then apply for a medical card through a form and with the assistance from the centre staff or local support centre. The applicant can apply for legal aid, so do take note of the contact details for the Dublin, Cork and Galway Legal Aid Board. The applicant will then receive an International Protection Questionnaire. The applicant will then have to complete the questionnaire. The questionnaire is the main part of the application and should be completed with as much detail as possible. The questionnaire is detailed and contains 95 questions over 59 pages. The questionnaire will be completed in the applicant's own language and translated. The applicant should supply any supporting documents, for example, birth or marriage certificates, national identity cards, medical evidence, qualifications, etc., to the International Protection Office as soon as possible. The applicant should seek legal advice when filling out the questionnaire. Free legal aid is available for international protection applicants, and details for the Legal Aid Board are available in the information booklet for applicants for international protection. You can also see contact details for Legal Aid Board at the end of this presentation. Applicants may get their own private legal advice, but they must use their own money. A number of months after submitting the questionnaire, the applicant will be contacted for a big interview. The big interview is the personal interview and takes place at the International Protection Office in Lower Mount Street, Dublin. Interviews can last up to 2 or 3 hours. It takes place a number of months after submitting the questionnaire. This is the applicant's opportunity to speak to the International Protection Officer and present their case. The following attend the interview: the applicant, the International Protection Officer, and the interpreter if necessary. During the big interview, applicants are asked questions similar to those in the questionnaire. For example, on personal life, such as family, work, religion, education, reasons for seeking international protection, and travel details to Ireland. Questions should be answered with as much detail as possible and as comprehensively as possible. Give as much detail as possible to the International Protection Officer. The applicant should bring any new or supporting documentation to the interview. So after the interview, the International Protection Officer will produce a written report on the application. Often it can take an average of between 4 to 12 months to have a decision made. When a decision is made, this could be either to grant refugee status, refuse refugee status but grant subsidiary protection, refuse refugee status, refuse subsidiary protection but grant permission to remain, refuse refugee status, refuse subsidiary protection and refuse permission to remain. If the decision for asylum application is positive, you can live and work in Ireland. If the decision is negative, the applicant has a right to appeal to the International Protection Appeals Tribunal. The applicant may appeal the recommendation to the International Protection Appeals Tribunal, which is an independent organisation. The applicant will need assistance from their legal representative in preparing for the appeal. The appeal hearing takes place at the International Protection Appeals Tribunal offices in Dublin. The hearing can take about 2 hours, but it can be longer depending on each case. If an interpreter is needed, there will be one available. At the appeals hearing, in addition to the applicant, there will be a tribunal member, which is the chairperson, a presenting officer from the Department of Justice, the applicant's legal representative, and if an interpreter is required, they can also be present. The tribunal member starts and gives a summary of the hearing procedure. The applicant's legal representative takes the applicant through their story by asking a series of questions. The applicant is cross-examined by the presenting officer. The tribunal member or the chairperson may ask questions at any time during the hearing. The presenting officer and the applicant's legal representative summarize their case at the end. A decision is made after 2 to 3 months. The applicant and their solicitor will be notified in writing when a decision is made. If the decision is positive, the tribunal will recommend that the minister grants international protection. The applicant must wait for the minister to issue a letter granting international protection, and this can take several months. If the appeal is unsuccessful, the applicant can get a review of the earlier decision not to give permission to remain, if there are any new circumstances since the original decision. You can request a judicial review in relation to any decisions made with your international protection application. A judicial review can be started if you think that the law was interpreted incorrectly, if you think the correct law was not applied, if you think the correct procedures were not followed, and if you think that there was no evidence to support the decision made. Please note that the judicial review is not covered by legal aid and it can be expensive. Lastly, some things to remember about your application for international protection. The applicant must cooperate with the International Protection Office and the International Protection Appeals Tribunal at all times. New information can be added to the applicant's file by giving papers to the International Protection Office, the International Protection Appeals Tribunal, or the applicant's solicitor. Applicants can apply for permission to work 6 months after applying for international protection. Applicants should consider doing courses, volunteering, or getting involved in the local community. The time between interview and decision being made changes regularly and should be checked with the International Protection Office. As mentioned earlier, here are some contact details for the Legal Aid Board in Dublin, Cork and Galway. So if you do require legal aid, please do take note of these contact details on screen now. Please do take note of the contact details on screen and reach out to Orla and Karen in the Clare Immigrant Support Centre if you have any difficulties with your application for international protection or you wish to seek advice on the process. All the best with your application. Thank you for listening.